Welcome to Yoga Teacher Journeys, your podcast for all things yoga and mindful living. I'm Claire.
And I'm Bianca, and we're two yoga teachers sharing the insights and wisdom we've picked up along our journey so far.
Whether you're thinking about teacher training or exploring yoga as a way of life, join us weekly for inspiring conversations.
Let's go on this journey together. Okay, welcome everybody to episode 13 of our podcast. Wow.
Welcome. Happy New Year. This is our first one.
Oh, yes, Happy New Year. And I'm in India, Claire's back in Budapest. We've been all over the place since the last one. I was obviously in the UK. Where were you?
I went back to France. I was also in the UK. We met up in the UK. Which was
yes,
amazing.
we did. We had a little meetup.
Yeah, and we're back now, I'm sort of back into my routines. You've traveled across the world again.
Yeah. So I'm trying to get into a routine. I am. The plan is from this week to get back into some sort of routine. So yeah, get my podcast recording back in the diary, client calls, everything. So yeah, it feels good to have like a base. I have a desk, which is nice now.
Amazing.
Yeah. So yeah. I'm
That's
happy.
Great. So last time we talked about what is karma.
Mm-hmm.
And this time we're going to look at how to burn your karma, how to address that karma, really.
Mm-hmm.
So I suppose what would be the first thing that comes to mind for you when we're thinking about that?
So when you just said that burning karma, the word that came to me was tapa.
Yeah.
And I just
we're
remember
not talking about we're not talking about the tapas in Spain that you have.
Not the Spanish food, no. Because tapas means to burn, right? And tapas is
it's also
practice. It's
discipline.
It's like that consistency, and it burns the karma.
Exactly. So that self-discipline, self-awareness is really helpful. And I think this, even if you think about just routines and how with the type of beings that we need routine, we feel good with routine, like waking up and going to bed at the same time, for instance. Repetition enables us to get into a flow state, enables us to create heat in the body when it comes to, for example, sun salutations. And I think that does really help with calming the mind, but also getting into a state where you can address that karma.
Because the energy wants to move, right? So this karma, these energetic knots and blocks that are trapped in the body or the nervous system, whatever you want to call it, it needs to move. So if you're just sat in one position, there's no kind of energy moving or flowing through the body. So building heat is going to help to really shift the energies within the body. And we all know, right? Just example, you have a day where you wake up and your mind is really busy. You go outside for a walk, you move your body, go for a run or something. It helps to bring you back down into your body. So we all know that movement does shift. It does shift energy around. And this consistent movement is really, really going to help us when it comes to moving these stagnant energies through the body that need to kind of come through. With yoga practice as well, it's that connection back to the body. Because quite often when we have these kind of karmic imprints or traumatic imprints, we are living in our heads, right? And there's no way we can process the karma if it's just through our mind. You can't think your way out of it. You have to feel your way out of it. So yoga practice is a really, really great practice to have in your toolbox to kind of bring you back into your body and also get you into connecting more spiritually as well.
Absolutely. Yes. No, you've kind of said it all.
Yeah, end of podcast.
No, but it's true. We do spend a lot of time in our heads. And I think even, if you think about meditation could be another tool here. And people often find that they say, oh, I can't do meditation. My mind is too busy. And I think because we have such short attention span these days because of social media and other aspects in our lives, the way the world works these days, it just makes it so much more difficult to kind of tune into that emotion. And often when there is something difficult that we're trying to process, we distract ourselves. So back to the meditation, of course, when you have all these thoughts going through your mind, it's training your mind to come to one point of concentration. We're not saying empty your mind, it's focus the mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then often when people are struggling with a certain emotion or struggling with something for a really long time, they haven't given themselves the space to slow down and to feel the feelings, you process through it. And so the distractions are everywhere to kind of stop us from addressing that karma.
Yeah, of course. And I guess as a human as well, it's not just about doing one yoga practice and then you've healed all your karma. Like, that is not how it works. The practice and well, I suppose the dedication that you make to yourself is even showing up on those days where you don't want to do the yoga, because they're the days that you probably need the practice more than ever. And it's not always about physical yoga practice on the mat. Sometimes it's about different aspects of yoga, the meditation, the pranayama, the self-inquiry. There's many different aspects which we're learning as we go along on our journeys as well. Like, yoga is not just about what you do on the mat. That's 1 hour of your day. What are you doing for the other 23?
Absolutely, yes. It is a mindset. It's a way of
Mm-hmm.
living.
Mm-hmm.
And I try and practice it a lot, even in my day to day, whether it's sometimes I'm going from one place to the next. And often we don't even let ourselves enjoy our surroundings or let our mind rest and almost become bored. When was the last
Mm-hmm.
time you were bored? Probably
Yeah.
it's been a long time. And so I try sometimes to, for example, just sit on the tram and just observe,
Be.
just be. And often that's when the mind, kind of a lot of things resolve themselves, emotions resolve themselves, or things get addressed, or I have the time to actually process things. That also tends to happen maybe if I take the time to journal. That can also be kind of a focus point to help you process things. But sometimes it's just, you just need to be and it will come to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, embracing where you are now. And the more present you can be, things will flow, right? Things get stuck when you live in your mind.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, how can you come back to the present moment so you can be with whatever is coming up? Practical tools off the back of what you were saying there. You mentioned journaling. You mentioned obviously just creating space in your day. So some other practical tools, Nadi Shodhana. I love alternate nostril breathing. So those of you that have been in my yoga classes, it's quite a common one that I use. And I think you said you do as well.
I do, yes.
Yeah. So for people that haven't practiced Nadi Shodhana before, it's an alternate nostril breath, which helps to balance out both parts of the nervous system, both parts of the brain, the left and right, the masculine, the feminine. It's a very balancing breath. So when we're experiencing, I guess, big emotional responses in our body, say, the way that we can avoid that becoming more karma is by sitting in it and allowing it to pass through us with no judgment. So Nadi Shodhana is a really, really great practice to just bring some balance in so that you can come back into your heart center. We're not trying to get rid of the emotions. We are just trying to regulate the nervous system so that you are grounded enough to process it fully. Because the reason things leave imprints or karma, trauma, whatever you want to call it, is because we've either resisted or attached to something. So this is all about the letting go of judgment, the letting go of attachment. So Nadi Shodhana is, should we go through it? Like how to
Yeah.
actually do a Nadi Shodhana? Yeah. So the way I teach it is I get my students to sit up with the spine nice and tall, spine tall, but not too rigid. So I always say, like, sit up tall, but don't be too rigid with it. Bring your left hand onto your left knee. And then you're going to bring your index finger and your middle finger of your right hand to the middle of your eyebrow. I'm showing it now. Oh, some people will be able to see it because we're on YouTube.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, okay, perfect. So you bring your index and your middle finger into the middle of your eyebrows here, your third eye. You're going to use your right thumb to close the right nostril and your ring finger to close the left nostril. So left hand on left knee, close the right nostril, and then take a breath in through the left nostril. So the breath is coming in this way. Then you're going to close the left nostril with the ring finger and exhale through the right. Inhale through the right. close the right, exhale through the left. So the breath is kind of like going like this. And you can do as many rounds as you like and just notice how it feels. And I always say to people, just notice the quality of the breath on both sides. Like, does one side feel more dominant than the other? Maybe even just bring the focus up to the third eye as well and just experience it. So maybe give it a go. How do you practice Nadi Shodhana?
The way I practice it actually is I also do a sort of breath hold when I
Okay.
close both nostrils. So I
Uh-huh.
close, we hold, and so we inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 8. Inhale for 4,
Ooh.
hold for 4,
Mm-hmm.
exhale for 8. But I
Cool.
think that's a progression of what you are
Yeah.
teaching. Both are completely valid. And I
Mm-hmm.
think also we take an awareness phase, as you mentioned, afterwards, just to
Yeah.
come back to a normal breath and notice how you feel, because that awareness phase is really crucial to notice the change in the body and the change in the energy flowing. And maybe then you might get a sort of sense of clarity or calmness, or something might come to you after practice.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Yeah.
think Nadi Shodhana is so powerful and it's also so accessible. It doesn't have any contraindications really, other than if you have a cold, you might not be able to practice. So it's really safe.
Yes.
But there are many types of breathwork practices that you can do, and I absolutely love them. I always teach them in my classes, and they all have different benefits and different experiences. So I think it's great
Mm-hmm.
that there's such a variety that you can try of different ways to kind of go through the karma.
To manage the mind and
Yeah.
senses. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. Love a bit of Nadi Shodhana. Meditation. I think if you can meditate, something really interesting that I learned from a philosophy teacher. Who was it? It wasn't Santosh. Oh, I can't remember who said this. If anyone remembers, you have to quote it. But it's like, are you just meditating on the more negative emotions? Right? Because if you are not meditating when you're feeling joy and when you're feeling love, there's still an attachment to those things.
Yeah.
Okay. So actually meditating when you feel joy, when you feel love, actually just allows you to experience it, but without you're still the observer of that emotion then as well. If you are only meditating when you feel bad, then there's still an attachment to the more positive emotions, which then is going to mean that you're going to be trying to cling to those things, which will result in more karma and more kind of tensions and patterns and knots and blocks.
That's so interesting because now you say it, I definitely, if I feel better, I might skip the meditation and
Okay.
just get into some journaling and other things. And also because I do meditation as well when I'm in class and things like that. Sometimes if I don't have the time, I'm like, oh, well, I'll do it in class anyway. But actually, when I'm feeling good, I do avoid it. And when I'm not feeling so good, I'm like, right, I need to meditate to feel better. So you're absolutely right.
Intention, yeah.
Exactly. But for me, meditation really clicked when I went to this meditation retreat. And it was kind of a meditation retreat for beginners, let's say. And just that
Hmm.
thought of, you brush your teeth every day to clean your teeth. Why wouldn't you spend 5 minutes cleaning your mind?
Yeah, true.
And that just resonated so much with me and stuck with me. And so that's how I kind of come back to meditation. But
Hmm.
sometimes if you haven't sat down for those 5 minutes per se, for example, it could also be mindfulness. It could be throughout the day thinking, oh, let me take a moment for myself, just focus on my breath. And that's also really beneficial.
Hmm. And the more we practice yoga, these tools, however you do these things, actually, you're in a meditative state all the time, right? And that's the aim of the game, is to actually be the observer without, it's that no judgment space, isn't it? Because when there's judgment, that's when there's resistance. And when there's resistance, that's when you're going to suffer.
Absolutely. Absolutely. When you let go of it, it's just when you stop fighting things and you just let go,
Hmm.
it feels so much better. I've
Hmm.
noticed that in practice.
Yeah, but in the Western world, like no one teaches us how to do that.
Mm.
So it's really nice to have these different practices that we can bring in alongside any other therapies or whatever you might be having as well. Mm.
Definitely. What else can you think of? So we spoke about the breath work, the meditation. Anything else that's practical?
Obviously, you've got your yoga practice. I think being out in nature is always really, really helpful when it comes to regulating the nervous system and just bringing in that sense of safety. And the more safe we feel, the more we can allow ourselves to experience these things. The rain practice was another one. It's recognize if you're feeling an emotion. So recognize the emotion, allow the emotion to be there. The I is for investigate. So just get curious without judgment. The N is for nurture. Like, what do you need right now? And then Santosh added another N, didn't he, for don't take it like not taking it personally. It's not personal. These emotions that you're experiencing, they're not yours. Don't hold on to them. Either way. And I remember one of my teachers said to me, she was like, this happiness that you're feeling, don't hold on to it. Like, let it go. It's not yours. And I was like,
but I want to feel happy. Let me enjoy it.
But then happiness comes when you can be okay feeling all of the things. It's not about not enjoying it. It's about not clinging to it.
Yeah. Is this contentment, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think feeling at peace and content is one of the most powerful things. I remember when I was struggling through some times and I felt always anxious and always stressed, and I just kept thinking, I can't wait until I feel at peace. When you are at peace, you forget how much of a privilege it is to feel that, feel calm and content and happy in your heart, that you don't have some deep pain you're going through.
Avoiding and resisting. And it's not about getting rid of pain. It's just about changing the relationship you have with it, right? Because it's all about that, management of the mind. So, yeah, I mean, there's many different tools and practices, and this is just scratching the surface, like just about. And we could do podcast after podcast on this, but I think this leads really nicely into what we're going to talk about in the next episode. You're going to come on with Trauma Healing Queens, and we are going to talk about how yoga has helped you through a particularly bad time in your life, and just share a bit of that.
I think so. Yes, I think yoga is really powerful for many things, and I'm going to talk a bit more about how yoga can help with grief. And I have a few friends here actually who have said that yoga has helped them through grief as well. And I think grief obviously is linked to trauma, so it fits in really well with the Trauma Healing Queens. So I'm really excited to come on and chat with all of you as well. And I think that'll be a really great episode.
That'll be a fun episode. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, well, I think there's like a few take homes there that people can practice at home.
Definitely.
And any questions, let us know. Reach out on Instagram. Always happy to chat about these things.
Definitely do reach out. We'd love to talk about it more. And if you're, going through something and you want to talk to someone about it and hear about some tips of how we cope with things, we're not experts at all, but
no, God, we are very much students.
Yes.
Yeah. And this is the path that we are on, and it's beautiful. There's so much to learn. The more you learn, the more you realize you have no idea.
True. But it's so exciting. Yeah. It means there's always something to learn, and
it's always like, life would be boring otherwise. And also, there's no like right or wrong. It's like different perspectives and it's just talking points, isn't it? So
exactly.
Awesome. All right. We'll catch you next time.
All right. See you next time.
See ya. Bye.